Welcome to Chaotic Harmony. My name is John.
This is Crystal.
I'm Marc.
I'm Zoe.
We talk about the joys and the challenges of teaching music in the elementary school classroom. We share inspiration, we share struggles, we brainstorm solutions. We would love to have you join us.
Welcome back to another episode of Chaotic Harmony. We are so happy today. We have our friend Steve Pandis here with us.
Yay!
Hello.
Steve is here.
And Steve teaches down in Chula Vista with us, and I will let him fill us in on the details of where and him and where he got started with music and why and how and all the things. Steve, hi.
Wow, you got a couple hours. All right.
Yeah.
No, you got 50 minutes.
You got a creak on a microphone. Be careful what you ask for. I ended up Chula Vista. I have a crazy story. I didn't bop into college right after high school and then right into the working world. I was a professional working touring musician for 25 years, and I bopped all over the planet. And then 2010, I went and finished my master's at USC with a Master of Arts in Teaching. And I did that because it only took 12 months, got it done. I taught at a charter, didn't work well, had to go somewhere else. They literally weren't paying us. They're saying, we're not going to get paid this month. I think I need to go.
Yeah,
So
I think so too.
Yeah, one of those things. And then I went to another charter where I taught in an auditorium, with no, of an old church they rented, and there was no anything. And I had an opportunity to go on tour with Brian Setzer and open up for him, and that an admin wouldn't let me out. And I only missed maybe a week of school because it happened over the winter holidays.
Yeah.
And I thought, this job didn't feel right, and I wasn't supported by admin. I had zero materials, and I know your stories, you've all worked with that, but I mean, to teach in an auditorium, there was just classroom management was so difficult, just to the physical setup. So I took off. Got married, had a kid. My wife's in San Diego Symphony, and that brought me to San Diego from LA after a lifetime.
She plays flute, right?
She plays French horn.
I was totally wrong.
They're both made of metal, so and they kind of press keys.
Completely wrong there.
They both
Sorry,
produce
Steve.
music and play.
She'll listen to this and
You
be
wouldn't
like,
want to hear
no.
my wife play flute. I love you, honey.
Where were you before San Diego then?
I was in LA.
Okay,
I was in LA. Yeah.
Born and raised, or
Born and raised San Gabriel Valley, Arcadia, California. Very lucky because they're a powerhouse music program. I was really, really blessed to be there. And my father was my junior high band director as well.
Cool.
I say band director.
Wow.
No. Music teacher, because there's orchestra too. Sorry, string players. I was playing trumpet then.
What did you tour on?
Say one more
What
time.
did you tour doing? Like playing?
Oh, geez.
Everything?
Everything from my last tour was, Louis Prima Jr. Oh, on bass. I'm so
Bass.
Yay,
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
bass.
Yeah.
We have a bass player.
So that's right.
Yeah.
Zoe and I bonded. But after high school, I pretty much became a professional bass player. Bass just kind of went that way because there's just a lot more work. And toured as a bassist. And gosh, I lived in Europe for a minute. And just when I went to cruise ships and just did all sorts of crazy stuff. And there are some stories I can tell my students, and some, they're not going to hear about. What I find is it's funny. I'm in the classroom with my previous life, and I still play. Saturdays I'm at Disney, playing at California Adventure, the 5 and Dime band.
So cool.
I'm very active, still actively playing professionally, and I find in the classroom, I have to have my edit button on because I'm only a couple years in too. That's crazy about my story too. I'm not 22 and teaching. I older than that, and
24 at least.
but what I do think what I bring with my journey with the kiddos is, I bring a practical experience of playing music, and I have, and I think it's a powerful thing. One of my great mentor teachers, for my student that I student taught at, he said, look, you gotta let the kids know what you can do. You gotta, it's not showing off, grab your instrument, show them that, instead of being a talking and teaching about music, let them see that you're a real musician, that you play. And so I tell these kids stories and just to relate to them, or I fold it into lessons, or, when I was playing in Moscow and saw Red Square and this and that, and they their eyes light up like they've been on Mars. And, we all know, especially where we teach, in Chula Vista, where it's a lower economic strata and all that, and the challenges we have with that, and I think it's a really positive thing to show these kids, like, I wasn't some wealthy person traveling around. My work got to take me around the world. It can take you there, like all the stuff we talk about with empowering our kids and letting them know that you can do something that can take you anywhere. That your world is, that Chula Vista is this little tiny dot, and you can get out of it with a job that pays you and do, your dreams can take you anywhere, and you don't have to be a rock star to do it.
Totally.
And that's what I emphasize to my kids too, because they always, are you famous, Mr.
Right?
Pandis?
Don't you love that?
Are you famous? And I said, I got to work with some famous people. And I said I was a working musician, and I was very lucky, and I was very blessed. And there was a lot of famous people I got to work with, but the kids, even adults, can't wrap their head around. Oh, you're a professional musician. What band do you play with? Oh, God. And I bang my head on the mic. But they don't. People and lack of music education, as we know.
Right.
Lack of exposure.
Well, and this whole generation that I've heard on the podcast, you all talked about how long Chula was about music, and I'll segue into that was one of my challenges coming into. So I came into Feast about a year and a half ago.
Cool.
I'm an older new teacher. It's still new to me.
What do you teach? Do you teach just general music?
So good question. So it's primarily general music. I have 1,200 kids to teach. Right? So, and the only way to make that happen, oh my Lord! And remember, Feaster is also a middle school because it's a charter.
Okay.
So I also have I have 7 and 8 as well. But the only way to make it work is I do 10-week trimesters, right? So and it's a bummer. I only get to see these kids for 10 weeks. And so I walk into a situation where, I was just at the NAMM show this last weekend, and I was telling you, and I bumped into Lauren Shelton, and we were talking to this vendor to try and work with Chula, and then, Crystal's name came up. Oh yeah, she just raided all these Chinese restaurants for chopsticks and went to IKEA and got cups and just made work what you had to make work. Yeah. I mean, I've been in that situation. I'm not in that situation. I came into Chula after you all, so the resources were there, but what do I do with them, and what grade gets them? And there was no lesson plans, no blueprint. There was, which one
what
should
do you want to do?
It's that blessing and curse of having this freedom and autonomy as a music teacher to teach these kids stuff, but who gets what?
Right.
And then I run into the situation where a 5th grader doesn't know what a quarter note is.
Yeah.
And what do I do with them? Because then you dig into curriculum that's 5th and 6th grade curriculum.
And it's way above their head.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
I'm sure we've all, I can tell by your reaction, you've had that same experience.
Yes, sir. Yep.
What do you do?
I wasn't able to teach grade level until this year. This is my 4th year. Yeah, and now we're finally there. But
because you started them off, right? Now you have them.
I've raised them.
Yeah, exactly. I raised our kiddos. But that's one of my biggest frustrations is what do I do? And you admit, I know you talk about teaching philosophies and stuff here, and I if you're gonna ask me what my teaching philosophy is,
I could. What's your teaching philosophy?
Have fun.
Oh, I like that.
And I prompt my students, well, does that mean you do what you want and mess around during music? No. Does Mr. Pandis take music seriously? Oh, yes, he does. The have fun component is, that's why every professional musician I know, that's why we got into it.
Yeah.
Not for fame or money or this or that. It's because we know the absolute joy of creating music. And I also use the have fun with my kiddos for their nerves. And we all know getting our kiddos to sing, oh my God, getting boys to sing, geez, and that thing of just having fun. And I tell my kiddos, when you walk through my door, no one will judge you, for your singing, however you, good or bad or whatever it is. When you walk through my door, you have the freedom to express yourself with no judgment, and I will make sure that happens.
Yeah,
and it serves a dual purpose of giving them that freedom and letting the people know, the kiddos that want to get in the way of that, like, you're not going to get in the way of that. I'm going to make sure that my kids are comfortable. So have fun is not just this, oh, have fun, kiddos. The elementary school smiley face emojis. And when I got my room, that was another thing. I get my room, and it was filled with, the happy, dippy emojis everywhere and this and that. And I thought, you know what? I took it down, and I put up Beatles posters, and I put up posters of Elvis, and I put up posters of Charlie Parker and Miles Davis, you know, so these guys can say, like, this is, you know, I remember being in elementary school, and any kid, what does every kid want to be? They want to be an older kid. Right? They want to hang out with the older kids. They want to, like, they don't want to do the little kiddie stuff that, you know, siblings, whatever it is. They always want to something that's there. And I thought, I'm going to give these guys the real deal. I want to teach them about jazz. I want to teach them about blues. I want to teach the fundamentals too, but, you know, what another core of my teaching philosophy is to just expose the kids.
Yeah.
I do a lot with the middle school. I have to preview it for language, which is, gosh, talk about tedious. I'm sure we all do that. I want to show this great half-an-hour video of, you know, of something, and there's one swear word, there's one beer in it. Like, oh man, I can't show it. I'm sure we've all been there. And you find this extraordinary piece, and like, oh, I found this whole, you know, rock en español, Latin rock thing, and it was, oh my gosh, it's so PBS. It was great. I thought, how perfect for our population. And the first thing you see is Carlos Santana talking about illicit substances and how his guitar neck at Woodstock turned into a dragon, and going, oh man,
that don't work. No.
And then all the footage and just God, the whole thing in general was great, but I can't sit there and edit all that stuff.
No, you don't got time for that. Hey, I have a question.
Yes.
How did you pivot from being a professional musician to wanting to be a teacher?
Man,
that's a huge shift.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just curious, like, what did you always want to do that, or was that something that came later?
Oh man, that's a loaded.
Didn't mean to make it loaded. I'm just kidding.
No, there's a lot of deep personal family history there.
Okay.
I am proudly and this is heavy stuff for me too, which I have no problem talking about with you all and our listeners. My father is a music educator. My father was that music educator that won the teacher of the year so many times I had to stop giving it to him. Oh, wow. Everyone loved my dad, and he was, you know, he's still around. He's you know, he's dealing with some health issues and all, but he's retired from teaching, but you know, he's still substitute teaching. We all know the value of, oh my gosh, a substitute who can teach, so my bands will get rehearsed and all. And my father was really revered, still is with what he did, but he and I had a real rocky relationship. And this has nothing to do with teaching or kiddos or anything, but this, you know, I'll gladly share the fact that, you know, we had issues with, you know, his new wife and this kind of personal stuff. Let's leave it at that. But I made this awful association with that part of my relationship with my dad and teaching. I thought, if I become a teacher, I become him, and this and that. So this is deep stuff. Like I said, I have no problem sharing this. But we'll leave the details to that. But,
sure, yeah.
But it kept me from teaching for a long time. And I was playing and teaching, you know, well. But even after, the big impetus was when I moved to San Diego. I came down here on a gig, and I was hanging with a bass player, Susan Wolf. She's associate principal. Yeah, she's the best.
She's so cool.
We've been friends for over 20-something years. We went to USC together. She was my classical bass buddy. I was the jazz dude, you know, and very, very dear, precious friend to me. And I had a gig in San Diego, and I was single. I was, you know, I was mobile. I was freelancing. Hey, can I hang out? Let's hang out for a couple of days, you know. And she walks out of Symphony Hall, and there's this stunning friend of hers, and the sparks just flew everywhere. We met on the sidewalk outside Copley, and here I am, married with a beautiful little 4-year-old daughter. And so obviously you can't move the San Diego Symphony, so I came down here. And I told you earlier, you know, I had the master's, but I wasn't using it and wasn't teaching, and I hadn't cleared my credential either, so that kind of expired.
Oh, okay.
And so when I came down here, I thought, how can I restart a freelance career of 25 years in a city that, you know, I knew, people knew me, with you know, with a household of support, a wife, a kid. So I thought, Mom, I think it's time.
Okay.
And I taught in Poway at an elementary school because you did need your credential. I hadn't completed it yet. It was one of those kind of jobs. Did that part-time. Again, same thing as you all experienced. There was nothing. I'm going online, finding stuff. It's cheap percussion instruments, this, that. Then I went to a school in Encinitas. Same situation. Well, you did need a credential. I got an emergency credential and got through that. But it was Encinitas. It was far away. And then I was looking, like, I got it closer to home. And it was just, you know, Ed joined, you know, where we find jobs. And I applied in Chula Vista, and I got it. And then that was a year and a half ago, and then I do this magical levels.
Yeah.
And I meet all you lovelies and all the other lovelies and semi-lovelies.
And we all bonded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I realized how special Chula was and is, and we're all sitting at this table because of it, you know, if you really want to look at it that way.
Totally.
And that brought me where I am, and I do not ever want to leave this district. You know? That was my journey to get down here. The shift is tough, and the other day, Rob Thorson, he brings his jazz groups around. Very dear bass player. Zoe always not ahead. Rob, bass player.
This is the bass player shout out episode.
We have to.
Like
We're the people's solos get talked over.
Yeah.
Cliche. But I had talk about the shift. So I'm sitting there. And here's my jazz buddies, right? I'm talking to on stage and away from the kids. And then here's the kids, and my brain was just overloaded because I had to switch between hanging with my, muso buddies, and there's, I'm Steve the bass player to my left, and I'm Mr. Pandis to my right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it is a crazy shift, and I still do play, and I still do perform. But it's just that it's a shift. And to me, it's a shift in the same way that when we're teaching kinder, we're not the same people when we're teaching sixth grade. We can't be,
totally.
right?
Yeah.
That's it. I think that for all we do. To me, that's a more difficult shift than being a professional musician to being an educator. I mean, for us to sit there all day long, we all do general music.
Yeah.
To me, I'd love to hear your thoughts about that, because that shift perplexes me when I've got first grade class and then I got a fifth grade class right after it. And just you have to
5 minutes in between.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
You have to go from, hey, kids, to, all right,
Yeah.
drops an octave.
Yeah.
So you mentioned how your philosophy is really focused on the idea of fun. Growing up, as far as your learning of music education, was it akin to Orff, or was it like very much more of what we like to call the conservatory approach, where we learn a chord note? And like, what was your?
Yeah, I would say very much more conservatory approach. Like I said, I'm not, not 25 and out of music school. I think was the last, age of kids who had, before the current age we're in, to have music education all the time.
Sure.
In elementary, what it was, we had of the 5-day week, we'd alternate 3 days music, 2 days PE, and then it would flip every week, And Mrs. Moore, who I found on Facebook, amazing, found her on Facebook the other day, and like all these buddies of mine, we in contact with our kindergarten teachers and stuff. And it was more, song flute, / recorder, but it was, song flute, and it was a more conservatory approach, I think. And from what I remember, it was, learning the fundamentals of music and doing songs and stuff. And it was not very Orff based, but it was thorough, and we learned, and we also had, like as I said earlier, I grew up in Arcadia, California, and
This is right by where I grew up. La
Where'd you go?
Cañada.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
La Canada, right there.
I know.
Yeah, so San Gabriel Valley.
Exactly.
We're very lucky that it's a phenomenal music program, and not just because my pop was part of it, but just we were very blessed to have just really devoted music teachers and money for the arts, and God, you go there today, it's 10 times what it was when I was there. They built a whole, where we used to do our marching band lineups on the field. Now that's like a 3-story performing arts hall that's gorgeous.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Their middle schools have several orchestras, several bands.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I know like the LA Phil has had a relationship with Arcadias
really? I'm not
for a
surprised.
while, so
Yeah.
they great music education. And
So I was lucky in that respect too,
cool.
because not only did I get the general music, but 4th grade I started playing trumpet.
Sure.
Well, I show my students this picture of me at 2 years old in diapers, carting a trumpet around. My dad gave me, sit in Dad's lap. I had no choice. Oh, and I do want to say this too. As far as my background, my grandfather, especially being in San Diego, has really touched my heart. My grandfather was a lifetime. He was a Navy bandmaster, and he was a World War II vet, and he was a Pearl Harbor vet. But
So you have a lineage.
Oh, and that's just Dad's side,
Yeah.
On Mom's side, my grandparents came from Greece, and I have cousins over there who are pro musicians and you know who play and all, and so that goes
This
back.
is in your blood deep.
Yeah, and my family comes from the island of Corfu, and within Greece, the island of Corfu is really, or Kerkida in Greek, is really known for its, you know, bands and this and stuff too. So it goes back just, you know, very generations. You know? So I had no choice. And then when I get to Arcadia, so 4th grade, we, you know, start a band, and boy, by the time we get to high school, that's, you know, I went, you know, I was an honor student, did real well, and boy, then I just wanted to live in the band. My poor mom. I just wanted to live in the band room, you know, and that's all we did. And we were lucky in Arcadia, got to march the Rose Parade and do all these incredible things. And then, you know, here's another thing I definitely want to bring up this podcast is, as a student, I really loved marching band, and I love the values it instilled in you, and the discipline, the militaristic part of it, you know, was a positive thing. It really developed a lot of great skills that I took with me. But as an educator, I would much rather have a jazz band than a marching band, as far as the value of the education of it and all, and only because, gosh, I mean, and we don't have that. Well, obviously we're doing elementary here; it's a different culture and all, but. And I think marching bands are wonderful. But me personally, as an educator, if I had to choose, I'd rather have the kids exposed to jazz.
Why is that?
It's America's only original art form. It's dying because kids don't know about it. My undergrad was as a jazz studies major. I really truly believe that jazz is one of those musics that if you can play it, you can play anything. If you have the versatility to be a jazz musician, you can play any style, anything. The brain it takes, for lack of a better way to put it, to express yourself through jazz. I mean, yes, it's free and it's improv, but there's the set of rules you have to learn before. Jazz gets misinterpreted as, oh yeah, you can get up there and just sing a song to the moon. No, you got to learn the rules and this.
You got to know some serious theory.
Yes,
in order to be a good improviser. Yeah,
and it's deep, and I think the value of jazz is wonderful because I think it opens up a lot of different worlds.
Right.
And the world music component of jazz, jazz just went through all these phases of different things being infused into it, and you know, but again, I'm not saying, you know, to clarify here, I'm not saying I want to get rid of marching bands in the United States. It's a wonderful thing. But me personally, as an educator, I think I would be much better at, you know, teaching a jazz band than you don't want to see me at 6 a.m., you know, on a march. Oh, no way.
Sure. Well, it's not your style. I think that's why diversity in our music programs is so important, you know, and I think the Orff Schulwerk approach is really special because it pulls from so many different, you know, the schools of thought to turn kids into creators, and that's a great springboard into whatever they want to specialize in. Our job is to kind of lay this foundation. They get to specialize as they get older. Yeah. And
they create I think it's a great analogy, Orff to jazz, you know.
Totally.
I mean, we can all agree that the Orff is much more of that kind of an approach, which is, you know, which is a challenge I face too with, you know, like I finished level 1. I know you guys just finished 3.
3, I finished 2.
Yeah, you did.
You finished 2. Yeah, I just finished 1, you know, and boy, how true is it to implement Orff. It's the same thing I mentioned earlier of having I have all this freedom. Great. Oh Lord, I have all this freedom.
Right.
You know,
Right.
You know, and I grew up, as you said, you know, in the conservatory approach, and this is the steps. This is what you do, and that is so burned in me. But you know, I'm a creative jazz musician. That's in my soul. But as an educator, boy, that's tough to find. You know, and the best success I've had so far was, you know. I'll make up, and I'm focusing the Orff, the mallets on 3rd grade. I just chose, like, look, I got 10 weeks with these kids. I'm going to pick a grade and kind of make them my guinea pigs for Orff,
tough.
you know.
That's tough.
Mama Llama, and, you know, all of a sudden, they as we know, they'll love it, you know, but
I will say, I think it's really important that you finish through level 3. A lot of people think that they can take level 1 or level 2 and they're standalone, but they're not. It's a complete program. Because the first level is really all about, like, this is what this approach is, isn't it wonderful? And it gives you kind of activities to try. The second second level is a beast, and it's like, here's all of the theory behind it, and it's like, holy cannoli, and it makes your brain hurt. And then level 3 is about incorporating all of that, and how do you take this now and make it your own?
Right.
And so I feel like through the process of going all three and putting them in my programs, yes, I have a lot to pull from, but I also have a very clear process to step through whatever it is. So I'm a jazz person too. And so I teach like a jazz person, and it's very improvisational, but I have such but just like a good jazz musician, you have a process you walk through, you know,
Yes.
you have theory that you pull from. It's the same for Orff. So so I encourage you to finish it for sure.
No, that's not even an issue. Like I wish there was 8 levels, because
I know it's amazing stuff.
I think of you guys, I think, oh, that's so sad they're done. You know?
Oh, no, there's
you're so
more.
proud you finished.
No, there's more.
Yeah.
There's more after the 3? Okay.
You can take master classes.
Oh, I stand corrected. Okay.
Yeah. No, there's so much to dive into.
Yeah,
Level
of
3 is
course.
not the end.
That's the end of the beginning.
Yeah, that's right.
Gotcha. Well, yeah. Why I thoroughly want to embrace it, and and as a bass player, man, I wish I had the money for like 8 bass bars, because there's just
They're awesome.
Donors
I got 3. Yeah,
really
they're so
quick,
cool.
January 23rd, there's going to be like double matching for
one of those.
arts projects.
Oh,
Gotta get
good.
a
Oh, good to
project
know.
together.
I'll get on that.
So
Yeah.
this might air
Get
after
something
that.
up.
Sorry, guys.
But should listen to it while we recorded it, guys. But like, if you wanna try to get some bass bars, like the 23rd of January is like an arts highlighted day.
I talked my principal into spending some surplus funds on a set of bass bars a couple years ago, and it was the best thing I've ever talked her into.
Zoe, what is it? I just, because here's a question I get asked. You know, the pivoting. You know, a bigger pivot for me. You know, not from player to educator, was I was a trumpet player. And I could have followed that route and been a professional trumpet player too. And I get asked that all the time, because I'm a 3rd generation brass player on my dad's side. You know, when I was drawn to bass, it was just this thing. I was just sucked into this bass vortex, and I think there's something very primal about the bass thing. You know, because like I said, I could have been a successful trumpet player, probably successful trumpet player. Yes, more coffee. But with the kids, I was just drawn to this kind of primal thing of the bass, and picked out lines on my stepdad's bouzouki, and then went and back in the day, recycler, pre-Craigslist, went and bought a bass, and that just changed my whole world. And now I've got this little, oh my gosh, I have this little 5th grade student who wants to play bass so bad, and I just want to cry. It's like, I will, oh my god, I'll bend over backwards to make you a bass player. But back to my teaching philosophy, and one of the things I relied on those times when I've heard many times in the podcast of we've all been through of, there's nothing in this room for me to teach. There's no raw materials.
Clap and stamp.
And rug burn.
Yeah.
If you're lucky enough.
That's right.
And I'm not, this is not based on any studies or this, that, but I've just always noticed through my teaching too that, part of the have fun thing too is just...
Sorry, I'm still laughing about rug burn. Okay,
I'm trying to move past it. Sounds like bust up. But I love this podcast. Love you guys.
Love you too,
welcome.
I'm gonna get to quote hippy dippy here, but
do it.
All right, I'll do it. One thing, one of my greatest personal philosophies of music is just how primal singing and percussion is. And when I started with nothing, many times I would just always go to that. Kids just, and it's one of the things, like, if you ask them, they couldn't quantify it, but there's just something about just using your body. And because I'm a vocalist too, and I've studied vocals very seriously, and I was very fortunate my student teaching to be in, I should mention this too, in Burbank, where the show Glee was based off of the choral program in Burbank, and I was at the middle school at Jordan that fed that high school. They have $500,000 budget that the kids fundraise every dime of at the high school level.
Incredible.
These productions they put on are Broadway unreal, and I was very fortunate to be with Christine D'Amore. I have to mention her because she could make a chihuahua sing Verdi. She could just, listen to a child speak, and she could figure out the problems vocally, and she'd have 9 exercises, and next thing you know, she's one of those people. So I've had a big vocal background too, very lucky. But I've really found that this primal energy and percussion, and once you get the kids past that, I'm afraid to sing and all that, and just, and teach them the mechanics of it and the have fun thing that I espouse, that hey, just let go and let yourself sing. But that's really saved me a lot too as an educator. When I had no resources, I would just go find songs and do stuff for songs I knew. Or I do a lot of I've got like 8 tubanos that are my personal ones that I bring to schools that I'm at, and I get the kids playing like these 5-part African grooves. He just passed the world music drumming, Will Schmidt. Right, it's something. He's an educator, Will Schmidt, and he devoted his life to, teaching percussion and world percussion to kids. And Remo, they have a big a drum. Escaping.
They have a certification
Mike
you can get. Yeah,
that whole thing.
Yeah.
But man, when you get these kids playing, and I'm not talking just bang away. I'm talking like you're playing parts, and I've got my middle schoolers up to like a 5-part African ensemble.
That's awesome.
And there's like some 3 against 4 stuff, and like it's really complicated stuff, and they love it.
Oh,
just
totally.
the joy. And what kid doesn't like to play the drums, But they're also doing it in like a drum orchestra kind of thing, in a structured vibe, and I do stuff like where the kids clap. They'll play a beat, dun, 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 clap, 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 dun, 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 dun. And in those claps, the kids get the solo. And just you see that kid who just wants to express himself. And I've seen some amazing, breakouts with these kids. That shy kid who just like all of a sudden, I can express myself, here, and I can beat the heck out of something, or that troubled kid, and about the troubled home life and this and that, and this kid is just finding, this outlet to let it go. I mean, come on, what better way to get your frustrations out than to bang on a drum?
Hit a drum.
So I really
it
believe
comes back to that El Sistema idea too. Like you can't hold a gun if you've got a violin in your hand. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep. Put something more productive in there.
So, gosh, my brain is swimming in all this stuff to cover. But
you read my mind. I was gonna ask you if you could tell a success story, but it sounds like
I have one I really want to share.
Yay.
Okay.
This one brings me to tears every time. So another of my wonderful mentor teachers was Lisa, what's her name? It was 10 years ago, but she was an elementary teacher, and it's fun. Here we sit, and all these years ago, she was, Steve, you have got to teach elementary. I mean, you're a dude with this energy, and you reach the kids, and you're just a big kid. Please go into elementary. And I said, well, I really want to do a big powerhouse, like high school, like I grew up in this and that.
Right.
But then as I got older and then I had a kid, it's like, you know what? They're great. Wednesday night rehearsals, Thursday night rehearsals, 6 a.m. Thursday marching things, Friday night pep band. And I thought, I'm not going to do that to my 4-year-old. I was on the road when my kid was born. I missed enough. So elementary is perfect for me for the work-life balance and work-life in my professional playing life too. But so here I am in elementary. It worked. So I was doing this. It wasn't student teaching, but it was a thing where kind of a lab. We go to her class, and she was extraordinary because with the kids, she was like this cool grandma, and choreographing Thriller to like 3rd graders, and you're just, how is this woman's a magic maker, educator? And then she gets to us, and then college professor comes out, and you just shrink in your chair because she's just on you to be a better educator. And we were teaching these kids, and her situation was a kind of a pull-out thing where the kids would come to the auditorium and the classroom teacher would be there, right? And there was some kind of dance routine. It was one of those things we all did where they kind of, shove you out like, all right, your turn. Steve, teach the lesson, And I'm teaching the kids, and I look over at the classroom teacher, and a grade level teacher. We are classroom teachers too. Grade level teacher, and my master teacher, and they kind of have this shocked look, and all I'm thinking is, oh man, what did I do wrong? I really blew it. And she and she pulls me aside, and she said, let me tell you what just happened, Steve. She said, you see that girl in the yellow jacket? She's on the spectrum and has never responded to anybody. She said, you're the only one she has ever responded to.
Wow.
And we all have those moments where we're exhausted, we're dead, we've done everything, and we were on our last ounce of everything, and that one little moment happens, and you talk about the transition to teaching, how difficult it was. Those moments, it's a no-brainer. And we all live for those moments. We all pour our guts into what we do for our kiddos, because that one moment comes along and it gets, our impact is codified. Our impact on these kids is shown in those moments. And that's, you want to ask why I teach? That's why I teach. Yes, I'm providing for my family. Yes, I'm not in a van or a tour bus with a bunch of smelly dudes, you know. I'm 3 hours sleep and I got to play a 4-hour show, you know. Just those moments, you know. And that was the first of my moments like that. And I don't know. I think it's still like my greatest. We all talk about our success stories and moments we hang on to and we keep in our hearts to keep us going through the tough times when we think we're not succeeding. That was it for me.
Yeah.
Just seeing that girl dance and sing, that you know, I inadvertently dragged her out of her shell with my, you know, big old crazy kid that's in me. So that was my greatest success story. You know?
Awesome. I love that.
I my failures too, if you want.
Thank you. That's incredible and super encouraging.
Yeah.
And I think you bring something to our district that is unique and is super special, because I don't know how many other of us have been a professional musician, you know, on that scale that you were. And so you bring that wonderful insight to our district and into our community. And so I just want to thank you. Thank you for coming on, and thank you for sharing your story. Like, this is incredible.
Oh man, I was chomping at once I heard, I thought I'd really love to be I don't want to insert myself in here. This amazing. and I have to give, you know, kudos to you. This I am inspired by your podcast and you know, and not just all the wonderful stuff you do, but what really inspires me is you all let me know that I'm not alone, that I'm human, that, you know, Crystal, you really moved me one day, and what you simply said was, oh, you think my you-know-what's together? It's not, but I make it work. And
I didn't say you know what.
Yeah. What did you say, Crystal?
Yeah.
What did you say?
I said
okay, we're out of the classroom. But yeah, and that really moved me. I thought, I'm not alone. I'm not, you know, I'm not an organized guy. I don't have everything. That's a tough for my transition too. Sure. I don't have everything planned out weeks and months in advance, like my, you know, PhD wielding, you know, an education mother-in-law who's just so cut and dry data analysis, and that's great. But that's not me. And part of me feels like I was failing as a teacher because I wasn't that. And then to hear that from you, Crystal, and knowing, you know, how successful you are and what a great program you've built, you know, and then knowing that we're all in the same boat, that I didn't feel so alone anymore.
Oh yeah.
You know, and talking to all of you and seeing like, okay, that's okay. I have my methods, but I'm reaching my kids and I'm doing it right. And I think all of us, you know, we're good at what we do because we love it and we're conscientious and we want to be good at it, you know. And we have that self-doubt that makes us crazy sometimes.
Absolutely.
But I honestly think, as long as it doesn't get too crazy to a point, but we all need a little bit of that to keep us motivated. And knowing I wasn't the only one, and that you are all doing these amazing things, everyone at this table and beyond in our district, I thought, okay, I'm okay.
We corral a lot of energy.
Yeah.
We unleash a lot of energy, and it's, oh my God, it's so important. It is so important what we do. And when you approach your job with the heart that you have behind it, Steve, I don't think you can do it wrong. For sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's encouraging. I really feel all the more lifted being here. Okay, I'm not alone.
Good. No, you're not. You were not alone.
No, y'all stuck with me. So
good.
Yes.
We're never letting you go.
Awesome. Well, guys, Steve was like, you know, he's a teacher down in Chula Vista, but he was also a listener and he's been listening to us, whatnot. And I know you guys are listening to us as well. And it's cool because, as mentioned here, we're one community here. We're here to not just share our stories, share our thoughts, but we're here to help each other out. And we've received our Facebook comments or messages, YouTube comments and such, and we've always want to respond to you. So please keep that up. Keep on sending our messages. We will definitely send back when we can. But that all said, to make our community bigger, to make it wider, we want you. We
yes,
really like
you.
Yes, you. It would be very helpful, guys, please, to help with visibility, to help our community increase. Send us a review. Put it on iTunes. Give us, you know, a 5-star, 1-star, 3-star, 4-star, 6 stars would be cool if you can do that. You know, change the algorithm by all means. But Yeah.
I don't
please.
want a 1-star review. I'll just throw that out there.
No one wants it.
Be
but,
nice.
No,
But share-
put it and we'll meet and talk. Only nice discussions.
Share your thoughts. Help us become better by sharing your thoughts in the review, but also it'll help us immensely. Also, you know the drill. Like and subscribe. It does help out. It's not just a saying people say. It does help out. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
That's right. We'll be back with Spiccato after the break. I want to take a quick break and thank my husband, Bryan, who's been working behind the scenes producing these episodes every week on all of the platforms and on time. But you need to know that he is first a financial planner for Mission Trails Financial. Mission Trails Financial is a partner that seeks to guide clients in the journey to financial success. They believe that people need a financial advisor that aims to provide strategies for success. Mission Trails Financial helps people navigate investments, tax planning, and insurance. Imagine working with an advisor who isn't tied to specific brands. Mission Trails Financial has a fiduciary responsibility to act in the best interests of their clients by providing independent, objective advice. Their mission is to help clients accomplish their financial goals. As Joe Vitale once said, a goal should scare you a little and excite you a lot. Do yourself a favor and set up a time to chat with Mission Trails Financial. Visit www.missiontrailsfinancial.com or call 619-419-0238 to schedule a call. If you're in the area, they'd love to have you come by the office. You'll be glad you did. We believe that leaning on professionals is how we get ahead. Check out the program notes for more information. Hey guys, so for Spiccato today, I brought something that I picked up. It's cool. A Valentine's Day kit. So happy Valentine's Day. The tape is not part of it, Jonathan. The tape is just attached.
You were that kid, weren't you, Jonathan?
No. Now that I'm an adult, might as well utilize it.
He's definitely that kid in Orff class for sure.
That's me.
We're all that kid in Orff.
Crystal didn't want to sit by me because I was that kid.
Yeah, true. It's
Teacher,
true.
can I sit somewhere else? We don't do
it's because
well.
I didn't want to be that kid with you. That's the problem. So I brought us mini skateboards.
Oh my goodness.
And I looked at them in the store and I was like, there's got to be an application for mini skateboards in music class. Mm-hmm. What do you think they could be, guys? As everybody's listening to us jiggle the little
They're so
wheels.
fun.
Aren't they cute?
Well, you could definitely do a skateboard-themed word chain.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, expound upon that.
Well, Tony Hawk, the second Tony Hawk video game was shot at my high school, Locking Out High School.
Oh,
so, like,
wow.
Nice.
there is a skateboard culture that I watch from the outside because my pop was like, you can't skateboard because you'll get injured and then you can't play basketball. So that was... I never skateboarded, so this is great. You're letting me live out that dream right now.
With your fingers.
Yeah. But yeah, you could... What are some skateboard terms? You have, like, grind.
Kit
like,
flip.
Ollie.
Ollie.
yeah.
One of you.
On the microphone
We
stand.
had the 13 stair at Locking Out High School. So people would try and jump off of 13 stairs and then
Oh my gosh.
and then hurt themselves very
badly. So
Send in the notes.
crutches, cats, broken legs.
Gemma won't be skateboarding.
Yeah, right.
I always needed my wrists for bass playing, so I never stepped on a skateboard.
I am so interested in that rabbit hole, though. I feel like that would be super engaging
Cool,
to do skateboard themed word change.
Well, yeah, and I have actually had students that skateboarding was their only motivator, and so I had like
Fascinating.
I had trucks and wheels in my classroom, and if they did whatever, then they would get them.
Nice.
Yeah, I was like, oh.
Hey, whatever works, right?
I feel like for me, what I do, and this would not be for a beginner, would be a movement based with kind of partner up with somebody else. And I'm remembering when I was with I believe it was level 2. I was at Santos.
You guys would get into it.
Emmanuel, do you remember? Was he there last summer?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Well, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. Soto, Emmanuel Soto.
So
Yeah.
I couldn't remember his name. Sorry, Soto.
And we did a partner movement where, like, he's a big guy. I'm a small guy, and so we pretty much just supported each other through the movement. Like there was a time when he carried me with his legs on my hips,
like Dirty Dancing style. He lift you up like
with his legs instead, airplane style.
oh my goodness!
It was way better.
It was so weird. They were so weird in movement class.
But having a sense of like, okay, you know how we can, you know the basic stuff you can do with movement. Now, what can you do that's using different parts of your body to help lift each other up? Having more aerial stuff.
Aerial stuff.
Aerial stuff.
This is not going well in Miss Pridmore's classroom. I can tell you that right
this
now.
would be for people who are more advanced.
I don't even. Yeah, okay. Maybe the after school Orff Club, maybe.
I mean, I could pull out the tape. We could do stuff with tape instead.
Yeah, no.
I actually have an idea. So
I want to hear Mark's
you
idea,
can
Jonathan.
use the skateboard as a focal point to steady beat, and instead of, because like normally when I have steady beat, it's always a pat or a tapping motion.
Yeah.
But this is, a different. You can have it. The kids put it on a different part of the body, and just a small steady beat where like they have to see. If they're on their arm, they can't have these long motions because they won't be in beat. So it has to be a short motion.
Oh, there you go.
And then just to kind
So
of
slide it back and forth. And
slide
beat.
is the word I'm looking for. Thank you.
Or glide.
Why not? All of the words.
Shuffle? You don't shuffle.
Right, any what?
Shuffle?
Sure. So that's explode. Why not? Yeah, explode, of course.
They make a different sound on all of the different sweater materials.
So that is a way, and it helps them concentrate, because rolling this over your skin, like, it's not the easiest thing.
Does it help us concentrate?
Well, but like your focus is on the skateboard. If you're trying to move it back and forth, that's where your focus is.
Yeah.
Did you break? Oh, I thought you broke it. I was
I
so
didn't
sad
break
for
it.
you.
Skateboard?
No, I didn't break it. It's still
Did you
intact.
break your skateboard?
No.
I'm sorry.
Denial.
See what I put up with? I was thinking. I had a couple thoughts. So glide for the movement effort. Have them experiment with gliding with their fingers on the skateboard, and then try to copy that motion with their hand or with their shoulder, so you can really feel under your hand what the glide feels like.
Yep.
'Cause that's not an easy concept for them to understand. And when they do get it, they all suddenly want to be ice skaters and nothing else. So like, what if you were to, pretend like this was on your shoulder? How would your shoulder glide? So that was one thing. And then if you had enough of them, you could use them, for, you could take your word chain idea and then you could make these the notation.
I like that because I feel like whenever you try to go into Laban movements, you try to explain it, you give analogies, but they can only go
Feeling
so far.
it is
do
a big
it to
deal.
feel it exactly. Helps with the understanding.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just thinking it was close to what Zoe was saying, but maybe have it come up with a bunch of skateboard terms, ollie, kick, flip, and then use that as a rhythmic exercise. Ollie, kick, flip. And then that could turn into a round and do stuff like that. And just use not the physical skateboard maybe, but just use that as a launching pad. Like, okay, kids, what are some skateboard terms? And then maybe, here's a video of Tony Hawk. Do you know he's from San Diego? And show videos of him doing it. And then put the skate vocabulary up there and make that a rhythmic exercise.
I feel like that's going to be like the most engaging lesson ever. Yeah. That's a great one.
And the winner gets a skateboard.
Yeah, okay. You made me in your class. I ain't got that kind of money. They get the finger skateboard. It's like 10 cents at the dollar store. Yeah. All right. Hey, that was really good, you guys.
That was fun.
Good work. We do have a round of the week.
Let's sing.
Round of the week. This is I Love the Mountains. Right. I grew up singing this one in the car with my family on road trips. So it's an American campfire song.
Cool.
Wow.
Hi. Is that good?
Sure.
We'll see.
Let's try it together. I love the mountains. I love the rolling hills. I love the fountains. I love the daffodils. I love the campfire where The lights are low. Boom diada, 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 boom. I love the mountains. I love the rolling hills. I love the mountains. I love the daffodils. I love the campfire. I love the daffodils. I love the campfire. Boom diada, lights are low. Boom diada, boom diada, boom diada, boom diada, boom. Yeah, all about that bass.
I'm sorry. When we started reading the second line, I love the fountains. I want to see I love the skateboards. That's not it.
You could
you just
change
said
the
rolling
words to make them relevant
hills.
to your
True.
class.
There you go.
What rhymes with skateboards?
That's great.
Late boards.
This is adorable.
Get out.
Don't be late too.
Get out.
Steve, thanks
I'll be
again
home
for
next year.
Steve. Thank you again for being here.
Oh, thank you for
Yay,
having me.
this is
This
delightful.
is incredible.
Awesome.
Question, Steve.
Yes.
Yes.
Is there a social media platform where people can contact you, write to you, send fan mail, etc.?
Fan mail.
Yeah.
Digital fan mail.
Fan mail.
You know,
At Mr. Pandis Music.
On
With
Twitter.
Twitter.
on the Twitter.
Find you.
Cool.
Zoe.
Oh, I'm at Ms. Kumagai.
I'm at Finny Vappa.
I met Mr. Keehmer.
I'm at Mr. Seligman, MrSeligman on either Twitter or Instagram. You can also find us at CH Classroom on Twitter, Instagram, also Facebook. Also, you can email us if you wish to have any comments or questions. Send it to chaoticharmonyclassroom@gmail.com.
And you can find all that in the show notes.
That's right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
Steve.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
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 The Chaotic Harmony podcast is a joint project between Crystal Pridmore, Jonathan Seligman, Zoe Kumagai, and Marc Keehmer. You can find us online at chaoticharmonyclassroom.com. You can email us at chaoticharmonyclassroom@gmail and let us know what you think. Give us feedback about what you would like to hear in future episodes. We're on all the socials. Find us on facebook.com/chaoticharmonyclassroom. You can find us on Twitter at @CHClassroom, Instagram at Chaotic Harmony Classroom, and you can even find our episodes on YouTube. Chaotic Harmony is the name of our channel. Special thanks to Bryan Pridmore for his help with production and equipment. www.pridmoria.com.
When the lights are low.
Boom diada, boom diada, boom diada. Just sent it to you in your text so you can have the sheet music if you want it.
Hey, you know, I don't know.
Now,
I
what are
learned
the
this in
social
Girl Scouts.
implications of the song? Not. So you're talking about
I'm
dwarves
like
here?
scared
Trying to talk
about
you know,
making a racist round on accident.
We probably already have.
Probably.
probably have.
Well, let me tell you about donkeys and carrots.
Ooh.